In 2024, the PGA Tour's regular season Sunday telecasts, stripped of the four majors, averaged just 2.2 million viewers. That is a 19% collapse from the year before, not over a decade, not through some slow cultural shift. In one season, the Tour blamed LAV golf, blamed cord cutting, blamed a generation that would rather watch TikTok than a 4-hour broadcast. They blamed everyone. But the people who actually built the schedule, who restructured the fields, who fragmented the broadcasts across 4 different platforms, they never once looked in the mirror. The data tells a different story. There was a time when golf didn't need to beg for attention. It commanded it. In 1997, Tiger Woods won his first Masters. An estimated 43 million Americans watched. 4 years later, when he completed the Tiger Slam, 40 million tuned in on CBS alone. Those weren't niche numbers, those were Super Bowl adjacent. For nearly 2 decades, the PGA Tour coasted on what the industry called the Tiger effect. When Woods played, ratings surged. When he contended, they exploded. The sport wasn't inherently a mainstream television product. Tiger made it one. And the Tour built its entire financial architecture on the assumption that his audience would outlast his career. In 2020, they signed a 9-year media rights deal with CBS, NBC, and ESPN worth approximately $700 million per year. That was a 70% increase over the previous contract. The total package came to roughly $6.3 billion through 2030. It was negotiated on the back of a legacy audience that was already beginning to disappear. The collapse didn't happen because fans stopped loving golf. 123 million Americans engaged with the sport in 2023. A record 531 million rounds were played. Junior participation was up 40% since 2019. The game was thriving. The broadcast was dying, and the Tour's own decisions accelerated the decline. In 2024, the Tour rolled out its signature events, a series of 8 limited field, no-cut tournaments with $20 million purses. Fields were capped at 70 to 80 players. 5 of the 8 had no cut line at all. This was the Tour's answer to Live Golf's guaranteed money model. Ironically, it copied the exact structure they had previously dismissed as exhibitions. But the consequences went deeper than format. The signature events created a 2-tier system that gutted the regular season. Non-signature tournaments became afterthoughts. Field sizes across the Tour dropped from 156 to 144 players. Tour cards were slashed from the top 125 to the top 100. Korn Ferry promotions fell from 30 to 20. Monday qualifiers, the last meritocratic entry point into professional golf, virtually disappeared. Meanwhile, the broadcast itself fractured. Final rounds aired on CBS or NBC. Early rounds lived on Golf Channel. Streaming coverage was locked behind the ESPN Plus paywall. A casual fan trying to watch a Thursday round needed a subscription their 70-year-old father didn't know how to find. To chase a bigger rights check, the Tour traded reach for exclusivity. But reach was the only thing keeping the sponsors at the table and the casual viewer on the couch. Hidden in the fine print of their own restructuring was the mechanism of their decline. The numbers are forensic. The 2024 Players' Championship featured a loaded leaderboard and a dramatic Scottie Scheffler comeback victory. It should have been a ratings bonanza. Instead, the final round on NBC drew just 3.5 million viewers, a 17% drop from the year before. An identical event with better drama watched by fewer people. The Masters final round, Scheffler's second consecutive green jacket, drew 9.59 million viewers on CBS, down 20%. It was the third time in 4 years the final round had failed to clear 10 million, a threshold that was never breached downward between 1997 and the pandemic-disrupted 2020. The Tour Championship pulled 2.69 million, the lowest since 2017, down 13%. But those were the flagship events. The real carnage was in the regular season, the Pro Tour. Championship, the opening event of the FedEx Cup Fall, drew 69,000 viewers on Golf Channel. That is not a typo, 69,000, down more than 75% from the prior year. The American Express final round in 2025 drew 232,000, nearly 60% below the previous year. And here is the hidden metric the Tour did not want you to see. In 2024, over 90% of the top 200 most watched telecasts in the United States were sports programming. 125 of those belonged to the NFL. Golf's most popular broadcast, the Masters final round, did not crack the top 200, not once. This was not an industry-wide decline. The NFL was untouched. Formula One viewership was up 5%. The collapse was golf-specific, and the tour's own decisions made it inevitable. Yet when Commissioner Jay Monahan was asked directly about the freefall at the 2024 Tour Championship, this was his response. Overall consumption across our platforms in aggregate is up. He pointed to social media metrics, digital engagement, and streaming numbers that nobody could independently verify, and that nobody knew how to monetize. As one reporter noted, Monahan obviously understands that Nielsen is not to blame for his golf tour's ratings falling, because if Nielsen were to blame, every other show on television would have fallen by similar margins. The industry didn't want you to see this contradiction. The tour was collecting $23 million a year in commissioner compensation while its broadcast audience evaporated. Sponsors began exiting. Shriners Children's Hospital ended its title sponsorship. The schedule became so congested that even Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, the tour's two biggest active draws, routinely skipped signature events to manage fatigue, undermining the very format designed to showcase them. This was a logistical magic trick. The tour created a premium tier that its own stars couldn't sustain, then blamed external forces when the audience left. In 2025, Jay Monahan stepped down as commissioner. His replacement was Brian Rolapp, a former NFL executive. That hire was not subtle. The tour was admitting, without saying it, that its broadcast strategy had failed and that it needed someone who understood television audiences to rebuild. Rolapp's first move was telling. He proposed cutting the season so it would begin after the Super Bowl, conceding that the tour was not equipped to compete with football for attention. It was a pragmatic admission, but it was also an indictment of every scheduling decision the tour had made for the previous 3 years. The real reckoning, however, is still approaching. The tour's current $700 million annual TV contract expires in 2030. Renegotiation will likely begin around 2028 or 2029. That contract was signed on the promise of a growing, stable audience that would justify the 70% premium over the previous deal. It will be renegotiated against a backdrop of audience erosion, sponsor attrition, and a sport that fractured itself in public over money. And the deepest irony remains, the game of golf has never been more popular at the grassroots level. More people are playing than ever before. Juniors are flooding the sport. Courses are booked solid. The appetite is there. But the tour, through its own institutional arrogance, made the professional product unwatchable for the very audience it needed most, the casual fan. The sport didn't shrink, the tour just made itself invisible. The PGA Tour didn't lose half its viewers to live golf. It didn't lose them to Netflix or TikTok or a generational shift in attention spans. It lost them because it restructured its product into a gated community. It shrank the fields, hid the early rounds behind a paywall, created a schedule so bloated that its own stars couldn't keep up, and then handed press conferences where the commissioner told the public that everything was fine. In aggregate, the tour didn't lose its audience. It locked them out, charged them a streaming fee, and then blamed them for not showing up. Subscribe for more of golf's hidden history, because the game didn't just change, it was changed for profit.